how can we get to Ghana? What do we need to do? I'm ready to go now.
Well, I think we always like to say, make up your mind. Make up your mind that you are ready to go, that you're going to make the decision to go. And that's the first step. Once you've done that, like, we can handle and take care of the rest. I think a lot of people sometimes have a concern that, I don't know anybody there. What will the experience be like? Different things that they've heard on the media. And we're here as a company to just dispel those myths and make it easier as a bridge for Black people to travel back to the continent. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. How long have you guys been doing this?
So we started actually
a little over 2 years.
Yeah, a little over 2 years. We started in 2018, and we took our first trip actually in 2019. But it's an idea that has been in the making for quite some time. So I actually traveled to Ghana for the first time in 2016. And that's actually how I met Nee. I was there for a Lead Abroad program, and I spent almost close to 3 months in Ghana. And while I was there, I just really enjoyed the culture. I wanted to immerse myself, and I really just felt home. And so I wanted to show that to other people, and especially people back home. So that was one of the first things that we decided to do, was start the travel company when he moved to the States.
That is awesome. So how many people have traveled with you guys so far?
I'll say about 80. No, 70.
100. Close
to 100. So let me say 80 something to 90.
Yeah.
Yes, last year.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So first, what we can talk about is the trips that you guys take, and then we can kind of transition into okay, so we took the trip, we like it. Now, how can we move here?
Yeah.
So I'm on your YouTube now, and I see clips. Is the Year of Return? Would you say that's one of the best videos to play?
Yeah, or the one that says Certified Africa Trip Review. You could play that one.
Okay, all right. I'll play that one real quick, and then that way people can kind of get an idea. I've already seen it, and I'm ready to go. But okay, let's play that real quick, and you can kind of.
Okay.
Just so people can get an idea of what they're getting.
Still warming up into it.
Yeah, why are you?
Okay.
Relax.
Hear that? They're ready.
My name is Cassie Angu, and I was one of the travelers on the Certified Africa New Year's Eve in Ghana trip, and I have had such an amazing experience here. I would say my favorite part has been a lot of the natural activities we've done. I love hiking. I love being outdoors. So it's been a really amazing experience to get to see how beautiful Ghana is.
So walk us through a typical trip. I know you guys have a trip coming up, so dates, the cost, and then walk us through what can we expect going on a trip.
So, Certified Africa trips, I would say, it has 3 components, okay, for Black people. One has to do with connecting with your roots, which is very important and key for every Black person living in any part of the world but Africa. Okay, so that's the first piece that trip takes. We try to connect people with roots, and by doing that, of course, the call these kamsing, which is very key for us. So in a typical, you have that portion. That we do that through things like ceremonies, traditional ceremonies, where you get to meet chiefs and interact with them. We have a naming ceremony where you get your African name, so we look at the day you were born and some significance being the tribe that we're naming you with, then we give you a name, that best suits you. And the African names also helps people to identify accomplishments, people who have come before you that have accomplished things. You can have those names, that gives you, it says like a good omen for you. So we have that traditional piece that comes into play. We also have, the slave castle ceremony, which is so cultural and connecting to your roots as well, because especially for Black people coming from America, of course, we all know how the whole transition took place, so we take you back to that beginning stage, where we look at the door of no return, which is our very cultural experience. So you don't just tour the castle, but you have a ceremony at the castle that really connects you, to your ancestors that came through there. And you go to the door of no return, where, the hope was that anybody that goes through that door never comes back. So for you to be there, coming back, it's just like Kunta Kinte. It's like you've made your ancestors proud by returning. So we have a very nice ceremony there as well. So that's the first part of our trip, which is the cultural or connecting to your roots part. The second piece of our trip has to do with, of course, the fun piece, because a lot of people traveling, no matter what, you still want to have some vacation, you want to have some fun. Enjoyment is never taken away from you. From day one to the time you leave, there's always room to have so much fun. And people don't know that Ghana, in fact, not just Ghana, Africa is actually very fun. In fact, to a large extent, much more fun than America. And I say that because, trust me, the things that kind of burdens that people sometimes think about in America, Africans don't really have that. They kind of live freely every day. So when they're really having fun, I'm telling you, they're having fun. If you travel to Ghana, you go out. If you're not careful, you'll be left out. Like, if you see how people are having fun. So it's always part of our trip. We like people to have a good time when they come to the continent, because we believe that some of the things that, aside the roots aspect, is one of the things that can get people really wanting to come back. And a lot of people come back every December because they want to have fun. And it doesn't mean that December is the only time you can have fun. You can have fun at any time that you visit Ghana or any part of the continent. So that's a piece that you can have as a second part of the trip. And the third piece is a value piece. I mean, the other parts are valuable, but this third piece, which is the business aspect, is also very, very crucial to us, because we believe, that Black empowerment is very crucial and key in this world as we have it today. And in fact, tonight at 4:30 on our live, we'll be talking about that, the economic aspect of Juneteenth, in relation to the African continent, which we believe is very key. So on all our trips, how much fun you have, no matter how much cultural activities you have, there is always a business component where we expose our travelers to opportunities on ground. What can I get involved with? What can Paige get involved with? What are your interests, your likes or dislikes? Who can you connect with that you can come out with some value that will give you a reason to have a vested interest in the place? So we do that, and we do that by a number of ways based on the number. If it's just about 2-3 people, because we plan trips for people as well. When it's about 3 people, like we did in March for some doctors from St. Pete, what happens is that we take them to the relevant institutions that they can learn all the necessary information about business, about how they can do business on the country, and some of the opportunities that they can find over there. So we do that. Now, when it's a big group, when it's a big group, okay, like our December experience and one we did in November, what happens is we'll put together a workshop, or let me say a conference or a seminar, where we bring together Ghanaians and other diasporans who are doing things on the continent. We bring them together and we bring them group and they interact. We get resource persons to come and speak to the issues. What businesses can you venture into? What would you need to be able to do that? To have these discussions, and people can make their own connections, so that at least once they go, it goes beyond this. They now have a link to the country directly. So that's how we go about our business piece. And throughout our trips, anybody who travels with us will tell you, we're constantly fishing out and talking about business when amidst all the fun and cultural activities. So that's a typical shape or form that our trips come in. Yeah, these three elements, very key.
That's awesome. So, I heard you say, so you do private trips and then group trips. Okay, so tell us how that works. If you wanted to, put together, I don't know, a parent trip to, how do we do that? And then how do people, let's say if I'm just a single, I want to go on a group trip with you guys. So can you break that down?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you have something special that you want to plan, like a birthday, maybe it might be a 30th birthday, 50th birthday, whatever it may be, you can reach out to us. You can send us an email at certifiedafrica@gmail.com or text at 727-222-1637, and we would schedule a phone call, find out your needs, like what are you trying to accomplish, how many people are going to be in your group or your party, and then we would come up with your dates and just help you through the planning process. You might say, okay, well, I want it to be very cultural, and these that I want to visit, I want it to be X amount of days. So we would discuss all of those things. It could literally be, for anything that you might think of, a family reunion, and just, so many different options. Group trips are more curated in the sense that, we pick different activities that we want to build the group trip. We have a group trip, of course, around the New Year's Eve time. So that one, has a lot of fun elements and party. And then we also have a group trip that we do with just couples. So it is other couples who are interested in building a legacy internationally, and they're wanting to do business. And we want to connect with those couples. So we have an experience like that. And then we also have some other group experiences that focus on helping people build their business in Ghana, on experiencing different elements. So if they're interested in fashion and beauty and they want to go see a type of business like that in Ghana, they would be able to do it on those types of tours. So
yeah, I like that. I like that idea. So now I've gone to Ghana with you guys. First of all, what are the trips that you have coming up? I know there's going, but away COVID. But what trips do you have coming up so people can start looking at that, preparing, and prayerfully be able to go?
Yeah, so we have our, right now our December trip has not been canceled. So we still have our December trip in 2020 from December 25th to January 3rd. And then that's our New Year's Eve in the Motherland travel experience. And then next year we have, of course, group trip. You can contact us anytime. Group or travel experiences running all the way up until I believe our first group experience is July. So next July we will have another group experience, which will be around there's another festival that happens in the summertime called Panafest in Chalewote, which is an arts festival. So we'll have a group trip around that time in August. We have our couples trip September. Yeah. And then we also have our New Year's Eve in the Motherland experience, of course, in December. And we already have people who are planning group trips for 2021. So, if you're trying to do that, get in now.
Yeah. So, okay, I've gone on a trip with you guys. I've had the time of my life. Now I'm like, okay, I think I'm ready. Maybe I've gone on a couple of trips. So I'm like, okay, I'm ready to settle in Ghana. So what does that process look like? I see that Ghana is extending citizenship. Is it dual citizenship? So walk us through that process if you can.
So starting from the citizenship piece. So I just want to clarify that Ghana offering or allowing people to be able to apply for citizenship instant something. It's not something you can be in America and then say I'm getting citizenship. It's just like any other country, like America. You need to start with residence. You become a resident, then gradually with time, once it shows that you really care about being here, then of course you can begin to have conversations around citizenship. But at the end of the day, before it was difficult getting that at all. But now it's become very easy for Black people from the outside to be able to get that. So that's a good thing. And they have what they call the right of abode too. It's not really citizenship, but that gives you the same type of rights as the citizenship might give you. So just to clarify that. So the way the whole moving process, again, the decision piece is always key. You making up your mind. And once you make up your mind, and a lot of people, we advise, of course, you first travel. So for you, by your question, you've actually traveled. So you have been to Ghana, you've seen Ghana, you like Ghana. You're like, oh, this is a place. And a lot of people have that. There's a lady moved less in December. She was supposed to move in April, but COVID stopped her from moving. Exactly. So what happens is when you reach out to us and say, hey, now I'm ready to take this step, okay? The first thing we would do is to let you understand that, look, this is a process that you definitely need help. You can't just pick somebody's brain and think that you could just go. If I tell you, you can go to get a house, get this, get it, that will not help you at the long run. A lot of people have done it on their own, but it takes a lot of stress. But I say, why do you do something that other people have done before? Why don't you just look at how it's done and then make it easy for yourself? Mm-hmm. You just make a little sacrifice and then make it for yourself. So the key thing is to get help. You get help. When you reach out to Certified Africa, we help people who want to move because we know the place quite well. When it comes to Ghana, we can help you make that transition. In fact, if you want to move to other parts that we don't have too much knowledge on, we can now connect you to the right sources that may have knowledge on those places. But when it comes to Ghana, we take you through a process. We're built out like a course. I mean, when we say course, it makes it look very formal. But I mean, we'll take you through a process where we're going to guide you from A to Z with documentations, with people, with everything you need to be able to enter into a Ghana system. And Mr. People are doing that because don't forget the business piece for us is very key. So we tell people, don't come to Ghana and look for unemployment. No, there are thousands of people there, like any other place, looking for employment. You don't want to do that. With your disposable income, if you plan properly, when you talk to us, we'll take you through a planning process that you're able to things that you need for Ghana. So we plan towards it. If you don't have the resource, we plan towards those resources. We give yourself time so that when you're going well. So you don't come back in 6 months or 1 year because you couldn't sustain yourself. So we'll take you through all that to make sure that you're set. So when you take your flight and you go to Ghana, there's no turning back. If you're coming back to visit America as a tourist and then going back to visit your wherever, whatever you want to do, and then go back. So that's how we help you through the process. I can't give you in terms of every detail you need, accommodation, you need that. Of course, those things come in you getting help because me telling you that will do you no good. But yes, when you seek help, the person you're getting help from, if it's Certified Africa, will take you through the entire process. And for somebody who hasn't visited at all, we'll start by you visiting. Exactly. So that's how I think that takes that's the shape of form. But if you want to pick my brain on something, I can definitely, throw a few things out here. But to give you a very formalized process, you need to, knowledge is very valuable information. So yeah.
Any questions in the comments? Right? Make sure we're including people. So, I hear you talk a lot about business, and I like the idea of getting people set up in Ghana as business owners and not, people looking for employment. And so with that, I would say, what type of businesses thrive in Ghana and where are the needs? Because, as a business owner, I'm always like, what needs can I meet? So, what are the needs?
So just to also point out that it doesn't mean you can't get jobs in Ghana. Yes, you can. There are a lot of jobs that people who, for some reasons, entrepreneurship is a no-no. Like nothing business is a no-no. But they still want to make the move. They can still do that. And there are people who are getting jobs from the outside. It's very possible. But we don't advise that. Okay? For the long term, we don't advise. You can get, if you're able to get a good international job, something, that's good for you. In terms of pay-wise, it will be good for you. So that's also a possibility. So we don't shut the door and say, once I can't, then it's a no-no for me. Now I'm talking about what do you call it? The type of business and problems. Oh my goodness, it could take us a whole life to talk about problems. There's quite a lot. I wouldn't say it's hard to pinpoint these are the most problematic areas. But if you enter Africa for the first time, you identify quite a number of things. There are places, the capital cities, of course, are good and all of that. Raw as a place, sanitation can be a very huge opportunity for people. That is, I'm mentioning solving real problems. If you have a bit of funds and you want to solve a real problem, then people have done it. There's a man who took up sanitation some time back, and he's a millionaire headed to a billionaire now in Ghana. And there's several other people. There's a young lady who started one in sanitation, and she's doing so well right now. Very young lady in her 20s, if I'm not mistaken. And she took up sanitation also as a project. And now she's doing so well. And I've seen a lot of different documentaries where young people have taken up sanitation from the outside. And it's very key. So that's a huge problem that people can solve and be outside of the major beautiful cities, that you can find, of course, like any other place. So that's very key, and I always like to talk about this one thing that a lot of people may not find it interesting. That is agriculture. It's a major problem because I find it as a problem. If you look at a country or a continent that imports so much of food, it tells you there's something wrong. Okay? Because did we freeze? Oh.
No, we're here.
No, you're not.
Okay, you got still for some time. I'm like, okay, am I talking alone? Okay, all right, that's good. So when you have a country that I did a little search, of course, I've been doing different searches, and I looked at the amount of chicken or poultry that Ghana alone imports every single year. I was like, whoa. I don't know poultry farmers around here that we have to import this amount of chicken. That's so huge. So I look at that and it cuts across several sectors. People are producing things, but it's still not enough. It's very small as to what comes in. So agriculture as a problem for not just Ghana, but the continent is very major. And anybody, especially young people, that really go out of their way to say, I'm doing radio, I'm doing medicine, I'm doing whatever it is, but I want to focus on providing food for the world. I'm telling you, your life will never be the same when it comes to business. In fact, we're doing some farming, just to throw that out, with some people from St. Pete, actually, that came on our trip. So we're working on a project right now in agriculture. Mm-hmm. It's a major thing. I'm telling you, it's a major thing. And other people that don't look like you and I'm telling you, are doing it. Recently, my wife and I watched the video of a young guy who is from somewhere, Australia or Switzerland, somewhere. And he's in Ghana. Of course, he doesn't look like us for sure. He's not black. That's what I mean. And this guy is in Ghana. And he's doing serious farming. And they were interviewing him. And I'm like, whoa, where are the black people from this young man?
And just to point out, it's like he's coming to do farming. And when people think farming, the thing is, if you're going to employ people, you may never even have to touch the dirt. You could be there unless just to unless you love it. You could just be there to employ, to oversee, to manage. And so we have to think about it that way. I may not be typically interested in chickens, but it's just a way and a mode to make money, make your transition to the continent or your move a lot easier. And so that's something we were recently talking about. Why don't people, what are some of the reasons why some people don't go into these other areas? Maybe because it's not a passion of theirs, but it is, a way to make income flow.
Very good income, actually. There's a young man that I just watched an interview where he's a black guy. He's moved from China. He lived in China. He's moved from China. Now he's doing cassava farming in Ghana. 1,500 acres in Ghana. It's not the American type of acres. This is Ghana acres is usually huge than American acre. When American tell you one plot is very smaller than Ghana one plot. Okay, but I don't have the dimensions off on top of my head, so I can't give you that. But what I mean is that there's a lot of avenue in that space. Okay, and I can go on in just that space about the numerous opportunities. And I like to always talk about the impact piece. So people, especially from America, African Americans don't feel like, oh, okay, I'm going to make somebody else work on a farm like maybe ancestors used to work on farms. Africans have always worked on farms, just so people know that. And till today, people enjoy 24/7 working on their farms. So you're going to put in a little more resource to make that bigger. It's not labor like how it was somebody in those days to work a cotton plantation they don't want to work in. This is different. This is something that people are passionate about and they want to feed the world. All they need is people who have the resource to say, look, let's come together and make this happen. You're already cultivating a 1 acre of land. I can put in resources that we can cultivate 1,000 acres. Do you know what that can do? You project into a future 5 years page, you could be a millionaire by agriculture alone. I'm telling you, there's no joke. You could just be a millionaire. And when it comes to agriculture, there are a lot of aspects of it. If you don't want to go into the production piece, what you grow with the farmers. You grow with them, you put the money and you grow sugarcane, not sugarcane. I mean, you grow cassava, you grow corn, you grow, what do you call it? Pineapple. You grow all of these soya beans, quinoa, all of these things, okay? But you want to be a middleman. All you want to do is to identify businesses in St. Petersburg that constantly need a certain type of product. Let's say cashew nut. And they grow a lot of cashew nut in Ghana. All you have to do is to now find the buyers from America, go to Africa, find the sellers, people who are cultivating this land, who are producing every single time and needs a market for it. You now connect those two people. You say, look, I can get you cashew nut for your production constantly, and you pay me for that. So there's a gentleman doing that in Miami right now. It's a Nigerian guy. That's what he gets. The farmers are already producing what they're producing. He has people who want to buy in the Caribbean. He takes the things from the Caribbeans, and then he gets the buyers from the Caribbean, brings the sellers together, just like real estate. You pair them. You don't even have to do much. All you need to do is to find two markets and pair together. That's a huge opportunity for somebody, in that field. That could be your job if you don't want to get on. I want to get on ground. I want to be part of the growers because that's very huge. If you can be a middleman, if you want to be somebody who does the processing piece, the processing piece. If I'm talking, if you give me a talk all day, you can chip in if you want. If you want to throw in something, it can be conversation. I'm okay with that. Okay, you can just be throwing things in if you want. Because if you give me, I can lecture the whole day. So just so you know.
I love this. Like, it's just so amazing. Like, I'm just sitting here like I'm in class. I'm like, okay, because I think there's this kind of underlying thing of like Africans versus African Americans, right? So like in America. And oftentimes I think we don't sit down and discuss this, have this cultural exchange because it's still a cultural exchange.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I'm just so intrigued and I'm so excited to hear. Tony, do you have any questions? Because I have more. I have tons more. So do you have any before I start firing off my other questions?
Just okay. Once he's done.
Go ahead.
Now I was gonna say, just so maybe Tony is not excited because he's into radio. I didn't mention radio as a business yet, but those ones I didn't get to them. But again, all these fields that you can think about, Africa needs them. That's what people need to understand. Africa needs all those fields: radio, television. You can be a major player when you come down to get involved in space. Nothing is easy, as you should know. Anywhere, but the space is always very huge when it comes to Africa. So all of these avenues, you can think about how you could build yourself into these sectors. Any sector at all, there's room over there. There's room. There's a problem in every single sector: health, education,
which is really
whatever it is, non-profit. It's huge. So just so he can be excited as well.
So the entrepreneur in me is like, okay, I'm ready for this trip. I wanted to go and start something new. Like, it's just so exciting, especially just like with the climate of everything that's happening like right now. And to go to like a country where like the majority of people look like me. And
oh yeah.
So I'm from Charleston. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, and we have the Gullah Jew culture. It's still pretty connected to our African roots, even with some of the foods that we eat. Like, yeah, it's evolved a little, but I just know like when I come home, the feeling that I feel, I don't get anywhere else. And it's not just because this is my home, but one, it's an abundance of Black people. And like just me being here, coming back within the year, seeing all these new Black businesses, and I just know the fun that we have. So we talk about fun. I know exactly what you're talking about because my family is that family that we can turn anything into a party. You know, you just give us food and some drinks and that's it. So it's like, it's just exciting. I'm like, man, if I could get that on a larger scale, man, that would just be,
You know,
that would make my day.
There are a lot of people who, once you haven't visited a place yet, I mean, if I've not been to China, I can just be wondering what it looks like, you know, being in China and all of that. You know, for a lot of Black people, of course, although they're Black, but they're picturing, all they've known, I guess, is America for most people. You know, so they're picturing what it is like, what it will look like, and all of that. And you talking about everybody looking like you just brings my mind to when I also first came here. Where I'm coming from, right from home to the airport, every single person that I meet looks like me. I didn't even meet one person that does not look like me. So I take a flight, get to Orlando, and everybody, majority of what I'm seeing for some reasons, is like a shock. Nobody actually, you know, you watch movies and you see a lot of white people and all of that, you know, but to arrive at a place, because you've never experienced it, to arrive at a place that everybody, not everybody, majority of what you're seeing in your eye is different. That is very strange. And the same feeling, somebody who is in America as a Black person was never the African continent. When you first arrive at the airport, I'm telling you that your eye is going to go like, whoa. Like you're going to see a lot of beautiful Black people throughout, like from when you arrive. And if you're going to see other people that don't look like you, they're singled out.
Yes,
you know, and in fact, people need to understand, even Black people in America are even more than the opposite, white people in Africa. If you arrive there, you know, if you arrive in America, the number of Black people you see around at the time are even a little more than when you arrive in Ghana, the amount of white people you may see when you get into town and all of that. You may fish them out once in a while, you know, but it's all Black. So think about it, a lot of beautiful people. Like, look, if you meet about 20 of myself welcoming you, like that's beautiful. That's amazing. You know what I mean? There are thousands of myself in Africa, several beautiful people, amazing people who are talented, have conversations with. So nothing will change for you. But if anything changes, it's for the better in terms of the interactions, the love. Like you meet real brothers and sisters. You know, you meet people here, they're like, hey, my brother. You meet 10 times more brotherhood in Africa. You know, and when you talk about the division that sometimes they try to create amongst us, those things are just is the bad guys trying to sow seeds of confusion amongst us, you know, to discourage those of us here not to even take the step. And of course, you have some people who come here who maybe they to how they feel there's some tension between the two groups, because everybody, there's a type of, okay, I was here before you came and all of that, you cannot take, so there's tension. But when you come to Africa, those they are different. Hardly do they really. You may find one bad nut, but that doesn't affect the entire set of what you will find. The love. I'm telling you, look, when you arrive, I don't know if Mr. Brown has been to Ghana yet or Africa yet, but when he does, he's going to have a very good time. I'm telling you. You meet some amazing people than you've ever imagined. I'm telling you. Very talented.
That's the thing. I want to go to Africa sometime this year. I was looking to plan a trip immediately. So that is one of my goals, to actually go to Ghana, go to Africa, go visit the continent. I'm ready to go, man. I'm excited about it.
You meet a lot of people doing what you know.
I'm excited.
Good.
You will enjoy it. I can tell you for a
fact.
fact.
Outgoing person, and so the fact that you're like, if it's like anything like Charleston, so in Charleston everybody speaks to everybody. Like, hey, regardless if you Black, we talking to each other, right? And so when I moved to other places, and I'm like, wait, you Black and you walk after me, you didn't say anything? Like, what's happening? So like, if it's like that in Africa, if I go, I'm gonna be like, goodness, bro, that's so right.
Oh yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
I got so big. us. And we do have a question. How is the school system there? What's that like?
How's the school system?
Yeah, the school system, it's fairly good. Okay, any standard. In fact, if I take it from the tertiary level, I think last year, for instance, I mean, every year you have some of the top schools in the world, like Harvard, Princeton, all of these schools, Yale. They have these exams that they take for admitting students into all the different faculties. Last year, for instance, students that took the majority of the brightest were from Africa who actually made the top. So everybody made it to Harvard, everybody made it to Yale Law School. The top that passed the exam that gives you entry, them are from Africa. There was even an article about them. And it happens every single year. So you have some of the brightest kids also coming from Africa. And people need to understand that. You know, of course, overall, you may have some loopholes here and there, you know, with the education system that can have some feelings here and there. But overall, it can be very good, right from the tertiary level. So you have the universities, which are very good universities, where depending on you and how much higher you want to go, you study for it. Okay, so any program that you want, you can do that in Ghana. It's from the tertiary level. Then, of course, if you want to do an associate and all of that, there are a lot of institutions that gives you the room to be able to do that, colleges here and there. Then you have the high school as well. High school, just like here. Very good ones. International standard high schools. You have a lot of them in the country. Because don't forget, Ghana has a lot of, you know, people from the outside. So there are a lot of schools that you can take your kids to that gives them even the American curriculum, the British curriculum, the German curriculum. There's schools for all of that in Ghana, especially. And I'm sure it's across the continent. So if a child is at high school level, there's no problem. If you want quality schooling that is similar to what you get in America, but at least you have a cultural attached to it because you're in Africa, you will have that as well. And your children get to interact with other kids who are not too bad, you know, but good kids as well. So all that comes into play for the high school. Then you have the middle school, which is just like here. We call it the junior high. We call it junior high. You know, it's a different name, but same level. So you have that as well. There are very good schools for that as well. No doubt about it. And then you have the primary and then the kindergarten. You have all of that. So right from the time your child is born, and this time we have a lot of daycares and all of that. So you don't have a problem with education. You can get very good education if you can afford. Affordability is the key. And there are also very good schools that everybody can attend. That doesn't take much. In fact, in Ghana, we have free education right from the junior level all the way to senior level, senior high school, or to what you call middle school. Is it middle school?
No, high school.
No, high school, all the way to high school. You have free education. You know, so if you want to go there, you can also do that. But of course, don't forget, you have a lot of kids there. So because it's government and it's free, so everybody wants to take their kids there. So, you know, if a teacher has a load of 100 kids, you know, the level of, you know, commitment will not be like having 20 kids. So that's the difference between the government and the private. So it's up to you and the resource that you have. But at the end of the day, your children can school in Ghana and do very well.
What would you say is the cost for private school there?
Whoa, cost.
Ranges.
Can I have to, off the top of my head, honestly, I won't be able to give you a figure. But I don't know if I could even have checked something on my laptop. But off the top of my head, I wouldn't be able. But it depends. I'm sure you can, I don't want to mention any number of making a mistake and giving somebody any false
right.
hope. But again, no matter what the cost is, again, we have from free to costly. So you just have to look at your range, what you're interested in. And these are things that I tell people all the time. Once you have the general knowledge that, yes, it's possible, what you have to do is to now move further to get further details by making contact with whoever you want to. If it's us, whoever you trust that can help you, then I can now give you accurate numbers to say, okay, now you do AYZ. These are the numbers. This is the level. If you want this type of quality, this is what you get. If you want that type of quality, this is how much you get. So you need to do further. Go ahead.
This is even a business opportunity. If you have somebody here might be interested in, you know, they already do daycares or they're already passionate about education, they could come and create something that's centered around the American curriculum or infuse, you know, African culture with the American curriculum and create something unique, because there are a lot of people who, of course, are going to be moving from the diaspora, and they're going to want their kids to somehow, have a certain, if they want an American curriculum, they'll be looking for that. And if they find somebody who's coming from the diaspora who's leading that particular institution, they may be more likely to send their kid there. And so that's a business opportunity.
Yeah, and people are doing it. So just so you know, people are doing it.
Do you hear that? I'll move you on because Rita has her doctorate in education.
If the person's kids are young, that's good to even start your own school with your kids and get other people to come and make money for it. You just get 2 teachers to come and teach. You've set up a school right from the beginning. As your kids are growing, and you're advancing your school. Very simple. People have done it. I've seen people do it under my eyes.
Is it hard to come up with multiple? Is it okay to go over there with multiple opportunities? Can we start with more opportunities if we come to Ghana?
Yeah. You can. I mean, you definitely can. Everything is possible, but so again, it depends on your resource. You have 3 things you want to start. Like we're doing a lot of things in Ghana. It's not even funny. Sometimes I even think it's too much. But you can. Once you can plan everything out and you get help. I'm telling you, you can start multiple things. You can be doing this. You can be doing that. You can be doing that. It's advisable to maybe start with a few to test, especially if you're new all together. Like if you've never been, you're doing this on your own. You can start with maybe 1 or 2, test it and see what it looks like. Then once you have that experience that, this works, then you can add on more things. But maybe starting all at once will not be the best of advice.
How long would it take for us to, like, for instance, if I was to come over there and start one, how long would it take for me to actually start it up? If I was to come home, I need to stay.
What exactly would you be starting?
Supervise and get everything in order.
What would you be starting? That will put it in context, too.
Okay, so for instance, if I was coming over there to start like like talking about agriculture, feeding the food, trying to come up with a solution for that. How long would I need to stay in Ghana to get that started up? So I think the key is the building relationships. If you're working, let's say with me, that that okay, we've met. I've met Brian. We've sat down. We've spoken. We've had a good time. You trust me. Once you have me, that makes your life a lot easier. So what you can do is, once we have the resource that we need to be able to begin, all we need to do is, if we want to register a company, we quickly register a company, which doesn't take too long. In a month, you can be able to have everything set up, ready to go. Okay? But you don't have to be there in the first place to make that happen. So those things can be done before you visit. So once you come, we're zooming into the work. We're getting we've already made contact with people we can get to be able to, whether it's a farm manager or whoever is going to be supervising, we have somebody who knows the ropes of how to get it done. If you have those things, as you get on ground in 2 weeks, you can be able to set things in motion. All you need is a resource, and then you're quick to go. To do prior work, again, you need to do prior work. You need to do prior work. But when it comes to business, if you've not visited at all, that's not too good. So if you visit, it helps you build the relationships. If you visit and you build a relationship because you know what you want to do, the next time you're coming back to execute a business, you have people who have already done all the groundwork. So once you land, you can spend 3 weeks in Ghana and you can set things in motion. You can begin planting. Like we have timelines. For instance, the next year we're doing some timelines with some people from St. P. Like I said, we have timelines that we've drawn out. So we know if we're going down at this time. And because at that time, we're initiating the planting process. And the beautiful thing about this, let me just chip that in. Like a lot of the things that you can actually grow, like pineapple, it takes 2 months to 3 months to grow. So think about it. If we can grow 1,000 acres of pineapple every 3 months, and then you think about the harvest and what you stand to gain, way more than you could ever get in 5 years working for wherever it is that you'll be working in America. That's the reality. All you need is to put in the resource. And the beautiful thing I like people to also know this time around is that when you make up your mind to do these things, you don't even have to use your own money. Now, there are a lot of institutions and banks that give resources to people who are serious about doing business like that. Even in Ghana and in Africa, you don't even have to do it from the US. You can be able to get to them, tell them, this is what I want to start. This is what I want to do here. I've done ABCD as grounds work. I need money to put into it. I'm telling you,
They're going to give you funding to be able to do that. If you have a group of friends, 5 people you want to put together, to put resources together to start, you can easily do that. It doesn't take long. Once you visit, build the relationships, and then boom, you zoom out. Less than 3 months, I'm telling you, you can have a full-fledged farming business going that you're never going to live to regret. I'm telling you.
That sounds awesome.
It's all the resource, by the resource. If you have the resource, you're good.
Yeah, I'm just sucking up all the information, man, that y'all just dropping. So I'm just sitting there. I know that like I'm not into what y'all talking about, but I'm just sitting there. I suck up a lot of game.
Yeah, I see.
You know what I mean? I don't do a lot of talking when I don't have to. And when I have informative people here telling me about something that I'm interested in, I don't want to interrupt too much. I just like to listen.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
So I like to listen, and then I'll talk. So
just
continue.
a quick question. You wanted to ask something?
Oh, no, I was just going to mention, I don't think we talked about it, but I was going to mention land. And, the fact that, one of the huge things that Black people talk about when we talk about building generational wealth and having something of our own ownership, like the ability to have ownership is so huge. I mean, literally, you could get land and build your own home on it, like for as little as, $300.
As little as any amount, based on the location.
Really, yeah, really.
$300 a month or just $300?
$300 for a plot of land, yeah.
Based on location. If you're not, if you're not necessarily into, maybe you want to be in the heart of downtown St. Petersburg, and you're comfortable being somewhere away from downtown, but you have to drive in, you can get very good plots of land. And in fact, I can tell you in Africa, the people don't even know. You can actually get a lot of free land when it comes to even in Ghana. You can get a lot of free land, but you'll be away from the main city. You need to drive in, which is not difficult. You can get a lot of free land. And right now, I know Ghana is giving a lot of free lands in Ghana. Diasporans who want to get free land to build. You have to be ready to do something on it. There's land for you. You can be directed to the right sources. But again, it's away from the capital. So you have to drive in, which is no big deal.
If you say driving like an hour.
Hour and a half.
So it depends. You could even take it. So now every town, everywhere, like we have the main capital, which is like Accra, which is a capital city, Greater Accra. That a lot of people, majority of the action happens. Beyond that, every region have their own hotspot, just like St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg have its hotspot. Tampa has its hotspot. Miami has its hotspot. But then if somebody is coming to Florida and they say, we've lived in Miami, and they say they want to have a lot of fun, maybe I'll direct them to say, oh, go to Miami in Florida. But it doesn't mean everywhere else, St. Pete, Tampa, Jacksonville, they don't have their own fun spots. So just like the same as Ghana, the main capital is Greater Accra, which has like Miami. But then you can go outside to where maybe the lands are in the central part, Cape Coast, where they're given the free land. They also have their hot spots. But if you want to come to, let's say Miami, of course, you need to drive quite like 3 hours to get to Miami. But then you can be in Tampa and have a good time and do everything you want. You don't even have to come to Miami. That's what it is. When I talk about far from the capital, of course, It doesn't mean you can't have fun there. A lot of African Americans are living in those areas, so many of them. And if you want to come to Accra once in a while, you can do that. But you can have your own fun over there.
And live pretty cheaply. The further you live out, the lower your cost of living can be. I know some people whose cost of living for like a family of 4 could be like $300 a month. And we're talking like, maybe their rent or whatever their little household expenses are, or if they've bought their land, maybe they're just paying, for groceries or, other expenses. But it can be pretty cheap. And what we like to talk about, or what we like to point out about building generational wealth is if you decide to make this move, or if you decide to expand and think about coming to Ghana and decide to live over there, it's a better opportunity for you to save, build generational wealth while you're actually here and enjoy it. And what I mean by that is now that you cut your expenses and $1,000 plus is not going automatically to rent, and this is not automatically go into that, you now have a lot more income that you can save and a lot more ability to do things and, build. And so that's why we want to open up people's eyes to see this is a real opportunity for us. This is for us to be happy. There's a certain joy that comes with being there. It's a certain mental wellness that comes with being there. We want people to be able to experience that. And then also, just community. It's just different. The culture is different, and it's just so heartwarming and good for the soul. So when you move and you experience that, life is good.
Can you give us some key differences? Because I see you guys have a video. So guys, go to Certified Africa on YouTube. They have tons of videos. But just highlights key between Ghana versus African American culture. What are the key things that we get there and we're like, oh, okay, it's good. It's not everything's good, but what are some things that really stand out?
I think we can mention, one of the key things that I noticed when I came, or that I didn't know when I first came in, if a group of friends are traveling together and, they're about to get on public transportation or something like that, the person closest to the driver or the person that's closest to taking the money, that person will for the entire group of friends. No questions asked. Whereas here in the U.S., it's like every man for himself. You better have your own money, your own funds. If we're moving, we're moving separately. But there it's more of a communal culture where it's I've got you. Because they always know that there's going to be a time where, the other friend will have to pay. If they're moving, that friend will also.
So, just to share a little, experience I had with that. I sat in the car with two people. I think there were three of them from the US, and they were in Ghana. They were traveling from one Volta region to Accra, and I was in the car with them, and I was at the back seat with the lady, and one gentleman was in front, close to where the driver was. And when it was time to pay his money to the conductor, he paid for himself. And before that, I was having a conversation with a lady at the back, and she told me that was the boyfriend. So when the guy had paid for himself, and when the time came, she also paid for herself. And I was like, wait, I thought you said he's your boyfriend. And he didn't pay for it. He's just like, yeah, man, but everybody pays for themselves. That was the first time I had that experience. I was so surprised that, whoa, this guy said he's the boyfriend, and he paid for himself and she paid for herself. I didn't understand that. But of course, when I came here, I realized that even right from apartments that you live in, everybody's on their own. You're on your own. You don't really have, unless very good one neighbor that you're very close to. The isolation is very terrible. And that's why a lot of mental issues can happen, because people are suffocating, but there's nobody to share it with, which is problematic. But in Africa, of course, there's room. There's always, everybody's looking out for somebody. That's a reality. Everybody's looking out for somebody, so people are always ready to separate. And another funny thing that just in my mind, I realized in a lot of videos I watch here in America, you find two black people fighting, and you see other black people standing there with videos. Yeah, get him. Yeah, get him.
Or and just recorded, world star.
And doing all of that. In Ghana, if any fight breaks up, I'm telling you, no matter what, they're separating instantly. You'll never see a fight happening and people are standing back and say, get him, get him, get him. No. Unless for some reasons, the only time maybe that can occur is if one person has been provoking the other person for a very long time, and everybody tries to stop him and he doesn't. And eventually the other guy disciplines him. Yes. But beyond that, when a fight breaks out, everybody is separating. Nobody wants that to continue. They separate, they try to make peace between them there and then. But here I find people cheering up, taking videos of people who are fighting themselves and embarrassing themselves, especially women sometimes in all these places. And you find black people standing back and watching. That doesn't happen like that in Ghana. These are things that are just coming on top of my head.
Go ahead.
Yeah, do you guys have the same issues with police brutality?
I was just about to mention that.
No way. In fact, we did a video. We did with one of our videos that we've done, our lives. We talk about that as why people should actually consider Africa as a second home. in Ghana, because of the peace and happiness, peace that you enjoy. And police forms part of that peace. It's crazy in Africa, when you tell somebody the police is your friend, they'll actually make fun of you. But not until I came to America, I realized the police is actually your friend in Africa. We in Africa think the police is not our friend. Why is the police not our friend? Because maybe if you're driving and you get to a police checkpoint, they're going to stop you and waste your time and maybe take $1 from you or $2 from you and then let you go because maybe you didn't have something right. Your backlight wasn't too good. So people don't like the police for those reasons, because they'll waste your time and delay you and maybe take a little something from you and let you go. So if you tell somebody the police is your friend, say, no way, the police cannot be my friend. But when I came to America and I saw what a policeman can do to you when they actually stop you, then I realized that in Africa, the police is really our friends. I'm telling you, like when a policeman stops you in Africa, the last thing he thinks about is his gun. In fact, most of them don't even hold guns. They're just standing there, just checking a few things, and that's it. They don't really hold guns. You may find a checkpoint of 5 police and maybe just 2 are holding guns. And a policeman doesn't necessarily approach you ready, like
something to go down.
Ready, yeah. Like something is about to happen for him to hold his gun. So you don't have nothing occurs to you when a policeman stops you about fear of shooting. The only fear you have is that he's going to find out that maybe you're not driving with a license and he might take
some money.
Something, who may give you a fine, some little fine. But here in America, when a policeman stops you, anything can happen. You can't predict what he do. But at least in Africa, you can predict he's not going to kill you under no circumstance. And under no circumstance will a policeman stop you and find any reason to shoot you. It's not possible. Unless the only time a policeman will fire is if there's an armed robbery attack and the armed robbers are firing, then the police will fire back. Apart from that, you never encounter the police anywhere trying to fire somebody, no. I'm telling you, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. It never happens. So nobody's intimidated by a police. You're only intimidated when they stop you on the street because they'll waste your time. That's all. So yes, it's a very peaceful setup to walk in. It's a very peaceful place to walk in.
Most people don't have guns.
Sounds like it's good for your mental health.
You said what?
Sounds like it's great for your mental
health.
Oh,
yes. It is.
In America, we're heightened. We got high blood pressure because we don't know when somebody gonna shoot us just for being, black. So it just sounds like we suffer from so many mental illnesses and mental health disorders because of the environment that we're in. So it just sounds like just wonderful therapy. Like it just sounds so carefree.
Look, let me give you an example. I think the Netherlands ambassador, when she first came to Ghana, okay, as when she was deployed as an ambassador to Ghana, she was, of course, Netherlands, I guess, is just like America and most of the Western world, where everybody is going, nobody, no pause. Like people are going, the pressure is on. So when she came with that same attitude. Now she started her normal duties and there's a meeting, and the last minute the meeting is cancelled. The meeting comes in 30 minutes, 1 hour, just like black people do here. People are not showing up. Like, everything is kind of laid back, slow, and this is what I'm sharing with you. She wrote a full article about that and how that has affected her personal life to now calm down and enjoy life. And she was talking about how beautiful she found in Ghana, because before she came, she was all go, pressure. Nobody even about, you wasted 2 minutes, 5 minutes. But in Africa, everything kind of, when you get to Africa, it's like they reset your clock.
They force you to slow
and
down.
You just kind of slow down. You try to be fast. 1, 2, 3, you get frustrated. Nobody will tell you to calm down and slow. Like you only live once. Like take it easy. So you're actually living every single day. Less pressure. Of course, depending on the type of job you do, there can be pressure here and there. But overall, as a society, there's less stress. I tell people all the time, my former boss once shared with me that when she used to live in the UK and used to work as an attorney, every single time she's going to work, for whatever reason, she used to be crying on the bus. If you take the train, whatever it is, she used to be crying when she's going to work. Finally, she did everything she can. She relocated to Ghana. Her life has never been the same. Of course, everybody have some challenges, but overall, she'll tell you she's much peaceful. She's okay. When she came, she needs to do that. She doesn't cry anymore when she goes to work. So all that comes to play with the person's psyche and how you feel about, your presence in the continent. It's beautiful. I'm telling you, it's beautiful, and it's good. It's a good place to have a retirement, really. It's just laid back.
Sounds wonderful. Like I'm so mad at COVID-19 right now because I'm ready to go now. Like I'm ready to go. So we've reached our hour, which I'm so sad because I feel like I can have this conversation for a whole nother hour.
For sure.
So make sure you guys go to certifiedafrica.com, follow them on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Instagram. So give us some to close out our conversation. I'm so sad.
So
yeah,
I mean, we could be on all day, every day, but again, I think for St. Petersburg, of course, once the Power Plug Radio is in St. Petersburg, and Certified Africa is like our base is St. Petersburg, aside Ghana, we encourage everybody all over America, all over Europe, and everywhere, especially St. Petersburg, to reach out to us and figure out how you can make any of these journeys, either travel for tourism, experience your culture and all of that, or better still, travel with business in mind, to want to do business on the continent, or thirdly, if you want to move or relocate
or establish roots, buy land.
I mean, try and reach out, and then let's take it from there. Now, also to add, we have an online store where we say we bring Africa to you. So you can always go on our online platform. There are a lot of African stuff. You see the beautiful African outfit I have here. We have some of them on our website. You can go and then do some shopping. We have some female outfits, some African jewelries made in Ghana. You could go check them out and then bring Africa to your home.
And today we're actually having a Juneteenth sale. So there is 20% off the entire store, and you can use the code certified19. So if you input that, there is a 20% off code for all of the jewelries and African wear and all of that and accessories that are that are on the website right now.
So and also for Black people who are in various organizations like Power Plug, if you want to put together a retreat or anything to the continent, you can reach out to us. We'll do that for you. We have some trips for people in St. P who are going for their birthday, a family. People can always reach out to us. You don't have to travel with our travel group. You can come as a family. We're going to plan something amazing for you in Ghana or any other place you want.
Or if you just want us to talk. And I think it's important to educate and have these conversations and let people know that what you've heard about Africa, there's something totally different. Like these conversations need to happen more, and it starts with the youth. So if anybody wants us to come and talk about these, this subject, these topics, we are.
I think we should be having an Africa. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was about to say I have a mentoring group, and we've been talking about travel, and so I would love for you guys to be a guest speaker. We're meeting via Zoom right now, but I'd love for you guys to be a guest speaker and just show them that there's possibilities outside of America.
Yeah.
In fact, Power Plug, you all need an African session, an African show, basically. That would be beautiful. It's all about a whole show Africa. That would be great because Black people, we need all of that, especially in America, so the word can go out there. It's very key. So.
I'm about that life, man. I'm about that life.
We can definitely talk about that for sure because, we definitely need to have more. 1 hour is not enough to, encompass everything. So thank you guys so much.
Anytime. Thank you. I appreciate you all. Power Plug.
Prayerfully, we are still able to have the Afro market. So if you come to the Afro market exchange, you'll be able to have great conversation with them. So thank you guys so much. I hope y'all have a great day.
All right, you
thank
too.
You.
Hey, Mr. Brown. All the best.
And shop. Y'all have a good day. And
thank you.
We're going to go on a break and so.
Hold on. How do I get in touch with y'all? Do I got to go through the email?
No. I think Paige has our number.
I do. I have it.
Okay.
So yes, we could just talk. Yeah.
Okay, bet. All right, appreciate it.
Definitely.
Thank y'all for being here, man. I appreciate y'all.
All right.
Thank you.
I was just listening real hard, man. I'm gonna call y'all, bro. I appreciate y'all.
All right.
All right.
All right, bye.
All right.
And we're gonna go break till 8:50, and we'll be back.
All right. So let's close up here. I think I'd asked a question about
Father from Natural Products Company in New Jersey. I mentioned in your interview, Ivy, that I've been wanting to do what you're brilliantly doing for the last 10 years. Okay, and you mentioned
so the person, she can reach out to us. All right, so we appreciate you. We had an interview on Power Plug Radio. You can see I'm sweating, so it's been very intense. If you follow the conversation, we talked about, a bunch of different things. So we appreciate you all staying with us. You can check out the video on YouTube as well. I'm sure it's recorded. You can check and see some of the things we talked about. So we'll be back at 4:30 today for our Juneteenth session edition of our Friday Live Africa Certified. We'll see you all. Bless.